اونم تو بیابون خطرناکی مثل آخر الزمان. حالا این روایت رو دقت بفرمایید، خیلی جالبه. میخوایم ببینیم شما به عنوان یه شیعه امیرالمومنین چه برداشتی از این روایت داری، چه نتیجه‌ای از این روایت میگیری. امام عسکری علیه السلام میفرمایند شیعیان ما پیوسته در غم و اندوه خواهند بود تا ظهور فرزندم مهدی. به این محکمی، به این واضحی، به این روشنی. روایات متعدد دیگه ای هم هست که مؤید این روایت، هیچ استثنایی هم نداره. شیعیان ما پیوسته در غم و اندوه خواهند بود تا ظهور فرزندم مهدی. یعنی چی؟ یعنی برادر من هر جوری بری تا به ظهور نرسی نجاتی برای ما نیست، گرفتاری ما تمومی نداره. حالا اگه ایمان داشته باشی به بلد راهت که امام معصوم باشه و یقین داشته باشی که کلامش حقه، چه نتیجه‌ای میگیری برای نجات تو این آخر الزمان.
دنيانا ظلام والخدمة ضوى، الما يبكي حرام يطبري ثوى، ما عند حسين آخر تلوى، الما عند حسين آخر تلوى، تاليها يصير والماكو سوى، من حق أهين محبوب رحيم، ما يرضى يمشي له.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in all of your questions. If you have any question you'd like to ask, please send in your questions via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you're watching on Facebook Live or YouTube, put your questions in the comment section. And if you feel like giving us a call, 0203-515-0199, inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer all of your queries. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ar. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, bakhair.
MashaAllah. Sheikh, my first question is, according to His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, is it permissible for a lady to go out of her house for some errands, perfume, with the fragrance of her perfume reaching non-mahram men? Now, there is a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and also of the Imam to dress appropriately, to smell pleasant as well. Now, when it comes to our females, how do they, tackle this? What are they supposed to do? What's the taklif?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. The Sayyid mentions that it is not permissible if it tempts to a non-mahram man, basically attracts other, the opposite gender, the men, when walking in the streets, for example. I mean, you can sometimes, when you pass by some woman, you can smell from 2 or 3 meters, the strong scent of the perfume, and that attracts sometimes. It causes arousal, excitement. If it reaches this stage, then of course it is not permissible. But anyhow, one shouldn't basically do such thing that arouses the opposite gender. You might say that, well, would they go out without any perfume? Maybe they can apply perfume and wear perfume inside their, let's say, clothes when they have, let's say, their abaya. So it doesn't expose and shows or being felt or smelled when they are outside. So they have to be careful with this issue.
Sheikh, if one begins performing the Asr Salah before the Dhuhr one in negligence, and then in the course of it realizes his mistake, while this was during the Dhuhr and Asr common time, what should one do?
Basically, in such case, the one can change his niyyah from Asr to Dhuhr, because you can't pray Asr before Dhuhr,
yes,
or Isha before Maghrib. So they are sequential,
yes,
prayers in anyhow. So the one should basically change the niyyah to the Salat al-Dhuhr first. You pray Salat al-Dhuhr, you finish it, and then you pray Salat al-Asr afterwards. So just change the niyyah from Asr to Dhuhr, and again pray Asr afterwards.
Sheikh, in the deceased janazah prayer for those who are praying behind the Imam, what should they do to stay silent or recite with the Imam? Now, the janazah itself is wajib kafai, and furthermore, when we join, is it wajib to join, or is it mustahab? Do we need wudu for this prayer?
Well, basically, if you have enough people to
Perform.
pray the Salah Janazah, that should be sufficient. But to join, of course, mustahab to join and pray Salat al-Janazah, which is a dua, of course.
Yes.
You don't need any kind of purification with this regard. It's just a dua. That's why you don't have ruku' or sujood in Salat al-Janazah. But in anyhow, when you stand behind the Imam and the Imam starts reciting Allahu Akbar, and then the supplication or the dua for the deceased, for the mayyit, with the salawat and so forth, you have to follow the Imam by reciting these as well. You can't just keep silent. That's not Salah Jama'ah as we do every day in the noon time and the Maghrib time. That's different Salah. So you have to basically recite with the Imam the takbirah and as well the supplication, the dua of the deceased in the Salah. So you should basically continue and keep with the Imam's recitation and follow and recite.
Inshallah. Question from one of our viewers, and that is it permissible to manipulate the embryo to determine its gender or to make it twin by medical means? Good question.
Yes, it is permissible. Our ulama would allow it in overall. Maybe there's one or two, maybe I haven't seen, but in overall it is permissible. Needless to say that if it's causes, let's say, harm, or let's say changing the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, let's say it causes disability, and somehow they play with the genetics in which it changes the child's, let's say, having, let's say, 6 fingers or 8 fingers, for example, and so forth, that causes some kind of disability or disfiguring this fetus, then of course it is not allowed to change the creation of Allah Azza wa Jalla in this case. But what you've mentioned is fine and is permissible.
Sheikh, now according to the late Ayatollah Sayyid Al-Khou'i rahmatullah alayh, the ulama, do they see making nadhar as makruh?
From what has been mentioned in the narrations and hadith, that yes, making another is makruh, is undesirable, because the narration states that why do you want to make something which is permissible obligatory? Permissible, allowed. Why do you make it wajib on you? You are not obliged to slaughter a sheep, let's say. Yes. Why do you make it wajib on yourself to slaughter a sheep, let's say on Eid day, for example? It's not wajib. So you're actually putting, a wajib on yourself.
You're making things difficult?
To make it difficult and so forth.
Okay.
So always the one should seek Allah's forgiveness, dua, it is the silahul mu'min, the weapon of the mu'min. Dua is a way in which the one can reach to high levels of perfection with this dua. The salah, the ziyarat we have, this is the best way in which the one can ask Allah Azza wa Jal and ask those who are in mediation stage and position to fulfill the needs of what they need, of what is requested. So dua is the best way, the Holy Quran as well, and so forth, because you never know, some people stick with the haja, I need it, and somehow he makes 10, 15 nadr, just to put, and then suddenly it comes out negative or opposite to what he needs, for example. So the best thing is the one to ask Allah Azza wa Jal and to have tawakkul and rely on Allah Azza wa Jal to see what is best for him, and he will basically will for him what is the best.
Inshallah. Sheikh, if a fish falls out of water, or a wave throws it outside the water, or if the water recedes and the fish is left on the ground, can we consume this fish? Now, Sheikh, you've mentioned before, that it's, with fish, there's different rulings. For example, the person who catches a fish doesn't have to be a Muslim. You've also mentioned that there's no dhabiha with the fish. The main thing is that the fish was alive when it was taken out of the water. In this situation here, where the fish has come out of the water and it's landed on land, or the wave came and went back and there was a fish there, and so forth, are we allowed to consume this fish? Can we say that these are halal?
If the fish was caught by a human's hand, or by a tool, by a net, whatever, outside the water, then it's halal to consume. Otherwise, you can't consume that fish in which died outside the water without human's catch.
Okay.
In any how, by a tool, by a net, على كل حال.
Even if it's by hand.
By hand, whatever tool that the man was the one who caught that fish, and not the waves brought out this fish on the shore, on the seashore, and died as a result. You can't consume that fish. It's haram, unless you catch it by yourself.
Sheikh, next questions come in. Probably a young child has sent in this question, and it happens quite a lot. I went through this, I'm sure you went through this as well, that when we're young, we have birthday celebrations, we have Eid and so forth, and it's customary for the elders to give money as presents for the younger children and so forth. We as Muslims and as parents, are we allowed to take that money and use it on household facilities, maybe like water or electricity or gas or something like that? Can we use the money that's been gifted to a child for household appliances and energy?
The specified money given to children, it's for the children to be spent on their clothing, food, expenses, and so forth. You can't use it for your own expenses or your own, or let's say you want to buy a ticket and to go to holiday. You can't use the children's money to buy and enjoy yourself with it. So it's not permissible. So you have to make sure that the money comes in for the children, it's for them, for their interest. Buy them clothing and so forth.
Sheikh, we're going to go to a short break. We're going to play a small VT. Join us after this small clip, and inshallah we'll be able to continue our discussion here on Ahkam SOS. Join us after the break.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of scholars.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or
was
over
Islam
the
established based on peace and non-violence?
Is it permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim countries?
Is there an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv.
Yes, we do take in your live questions. Send in your questions via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah myself and the Sheikh will be able to answer all of your questions. If you feel like giving us a call live here in the studio, you can do so. +44 203 515 0199. Inshallah myself and the Sheikh will be able to give you your answers. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, question in from one of our viewers, and that is, what should those girls do whose parents forbid them to wear the hijab? Now, His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Hakim, he has an opinion. What does he say?
The Sayyid clearly mentions that it is obligatory and wajib for a woman, and when we say woman, it could be even a girl who has reached the age of
9, 10, 11.
bulugh, puberty, and in which the salah and fasting becomes wajib on her. So her situation is like an old lady in her 60s or 50s. Salah is wajib, fasting is wajib. So in this case, it is wajib for them to wear hijab. And it is prohibited and haram for her to obey her parents by not wearing the hijab. فلا تطعهما. There's an ayah with this regard. Don't obey them when it comes to haram. The Holy Quran.
Nice.
So when it comes to haram, when it comes to aqidah, to belief, no. You have to obey Allah Azza wa Jal, not your parents or anybody else.
Sheikh, earlier we asked a question in regards to the wealth of the children, that the money that they receive from gifts and so forth. The next question is it permissible for the father to borrow the child's money or capital that he has for safekeeping, or to trade with them, or loan them to others, or to invest them and then return them afterwards, but for his own interests?
Well, again, if it's for his own interest, it is not permissible, except it's for the child's interest. So he invests the money to bring profits for the child, for example, as a precaution, ala kulli hal. But if, let's say, he invested the money, he put his efforts, he worked very hard to gain profit, they can share the profits proportionally with the child. So that's a possibility, yes.
Question from one of our viewers: is it mandatory that the divorcee is executed using the correct Arabic prescribed wording? So the divorce is executed using the correct Arabic prescribed wording.
Yes, it should be in Arabic, and you have to have two adil or just men present, hearing this divorce, the talaq, ala kulli hal, to be there. So shuhud, two shahid, is important and required.
Sheikhna, is it permissible to play video games involving adventures or fighting, not chess or other gambling games, in one's spare time, even without being joyful, because music can also be turned off in the video games? His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Hakim, he also mentions this as an opinion. What does he say?
His Eminence mentions that, yes, it is permissible to play. I mean, we have now the latest, games with consoles, kids are enjoying playing Xbox, Nintendo, and so forth, other names of these games, ala kulli hal. But the Sayyid would give advice that try to put a limit, because sometimes the one gets addicted by playing hours and hours. I think the PUBG is a very PUBG, exactly, very famous game in the world, and sadly, many of our brothers and youth in Iraq play it for hours and hours. Some of them spend the whole night playing this game, which is a violent game, basically.
Yes.
So, and other countries, of course, it's not just Iraq, but I've been seeing and hearing and talking to some brothers who spend all the night till Fajr Adhan playing, and of course that would have a health consequence on the mental issues and so forth, and of course waste of time. Yes, let's say 1 hour a day, fair enough, and then you go back to your own duties and jobs, whatever you want to do. So the one shouldn't basically waste his time in hours and hours playing something that he wouldn't benefit. Sometimes you get paid. There are some companies, they pay you if you do game testing.
Yes.
You get paid, for example. That's a different issue. It's a job. You test the games. There are certain conditions and programs. You test them, and the same thing you get paid, for example. That's a job. That's a different issue. But to have such, ability to spend hours and hours, especially during the night, in which you need to be in rest position and in basically sleep position and have rest for the whole night. That of course damages one's soul and mind and mental issues. So the best is to avoid it and to limit the hours, basically.
Sheikh, a long question here. What is the ruling when the employee of a big company receives his monthly salary and this salary is from the proceeds of the sale of the company's permissible and prohibited commodities? Or if the matter is not certain, as it is common in many foreign companies when they retail in huge markets, the permissible and prohibited and the proceeds are channeled to the company's banks, and that therefore is no doubt that the money are not apparently sufficient for paying the employee's salaries entirely, and then the employee receives their salary from there or cash their checks in those banks.
Basically, if the one is not sure that this salary comes from this haram transaction,
okay,
he's not sure, he can't be certain that the salary I'm getting is from this haram transaction, then there's no issue with it, because you can't find out exactly if this particular money coming is from this type of products being sold. You know, you have supermarkets that they sell lots of halal stuff, halal food, for example. Even now we have in the UK we have supermarkets in which they sell halal meat in the corner of that supermarket. But there's a section for alcohol, for example, or pork meat. You never know. You're there to work in a specific island and section. So that money, because you're not sure and certain that it's coming from the haram, then it's halal, unless you become certain that it is haram.
Excellent. Sheikh, question from one of our viewers. What is the ruling for trading in magazines that contain images of women who are not wearing hijab, such as fashion clothing magazines or women's magazines?
Anything that contains or promotes corruption for the people, the one should avoid it. Ta'awun al al-ithim, to support, there's a verse in the Quran that do not promote or support corruption, ithim, sins. These types of magazines and books and so forth would spread, and sometimes even books about, you know, that does God exist, for example. It's about theology.
Yeah.
So can I read these books, for example? Or a book against the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or about the conflicts in the Holy Quran, for example. No, we shouldn't be reading these books unless the one is knowledgeable alim who can respond back to these allegations and claims. But in overall, the one should stay away from these books and magazines in which causes corruption for other people in the society. You have different levels of society classifications in the society, in which not everyone is knowledgeable and has the knowledge of what has been mentioned in these books. And of course, with regard to the magazines, of course, you have different pictures of celebrities, for example, actress, and so forth. The one shouldn't be dealing with these magazines at all, ala kulli hal, which causes corruption and fasad within the people.
Thank you, Sheikh, for all of your efforts and your time. And thank you to all the viewers for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If you have a question that you'd like to send in now, there is no question which is taboo or, you know, that is silly, or, you know, you may feel shy to ask, because at the end of the day, we don't ask you your name and we don't ask you where you're asking from. We, you know, set this up so that people can anonymously come and ask any question in regards to Islamic law, and we would go out and do the research to find the answers. If you have a question in particular of the opinion of a certain marja that you follow, we have contacts with all the official offices and also all the official representatives of the maraja. Alhamdulillah, we can go and ask them directly and get your answers, inshallah. Join us again, inshallah, on Monday, live, 6:30 here on Imam Hussein TV3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
You didn't call for raping English girls. Remember? You're here defending the paedophile. I'm here defending your dad. Women are here defending the paedophile. You're here defending.
We don't need a TV channel because we've got mosques.
We have Islamic centres that are always open.
We have schools teaching Islam.
Hijab is part of a school uniform.
Islam has come and it's established here in the West.
And everyone's happy.
They love us, our food, our fashion,
our culture.
The media is always on our side.
We've got plenty of English speakers, plenty of English books,
and plenty of places to go and learn in the English language.
Let's be real.
Let's get active. Be more involved.
www.imamhusseinfree.tv.
Even death was not able to separate Abbas from Hussein, just as the haram of Abbas cannot be separated from the haram of Hussein, in the same way that Safa can never be separated from the mountain of Marwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the mountain of Safa and Marwa to be from the sha'a'ir Allah. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the haram of Abbas and the haram of Hussein to be sha'a'ir Allah al-kubra. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will that between the haram of Abbas and the haram of Hussein, there is a land of mawaddah, there is a land of azar, there is a land of ishq, there is a land of junoon. This is the land of Bayn al-Haramain. So long as this haram of Abbas and the haram of Hussein remains, people until the day of judgment will beat their faces and chests shouting, Ya Abbas and Ya Hussein. The divine decree of Allah is that from the land of Bayn al-Haramain, every time a tear is shed for Hussein, a tear is shed for Abbas. It is the divine decree that from Bayn al-Haramain, so long as there is a chant Ya Hussein, it will be accompanied with a chant Ya Abbas. The decree of Allah is that Abbas can never be separated from Hussein.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt's peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy, and many more, and aim to bring the public's attention to the righteous Islamic sect, Shia Islam. Our ultimate goal as a media group is to convey the interpretations of the Holy Quran, as well as the traditions and knowledge of the Holy Prophet and his progeny. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon them. Our objectives are to protect and safeguard the Shia youth from the destructive impact of immoral ideologies, standing up against injustice by documenting the oppression of Shia across the globe, as well as encouraging peace and unity amongst the Muslims. To reach our aims and serve the Muslim Ummah, we require a budget that would cover all the expenses for our productions, allowing us to work on different projects. Imam Hussein Media Group is a crowd-funded project. We have no sales nor do we charge for our services. We solely rely on monthly payments, financial contributions, donations, religious alms, and generous gifts. The expenses of each production varies depending on the type of project and the style of filming. There are many elements to a production that requires time and capital. The producer must analyze the costs of the venue hire, equipment, transport, feature fees, set design, staff support, and further additional costs. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, narrated, "The best of people is he from whom people benefit." It is up to you to help the Muslim Ummah come together and help guide the youth in remaining on the correct path of Islam. To take part in this global conquest and to spread the message of Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him, please visit www.imamhussein3.tv or give us a call on +44 0203 515 0199. You can also contact us via WhatsApp, Telegram, SMS, or even email us on donate@imamhussein.tv. Let's work together hand in hand to elevate the faith of our Shia youth today.
And finally opposite me, your pure shrine lies. All my life I've lived, now I meet with my demise. Karbala, I shed my tears wondering what I have been. I come to you dressed in all my lies and sin. I can't bear, oh forgiver. Now I'm here in Karbala, in Karbala.
Imam Hussein Media Group, out of respect to its audience, wants to be available anytime, anywhere. Our worldwide viewers, and in particular North America, can watch our channels through Roku TV setup box. To download our Roku app, follow these simple steps. Go onto the menu and select streaming channels, and then choose the category religious. Then you can find Imam Hussein TV from the list. Now choose add channel and then select OK. Done. Now you can find Imam Hussein TV in your home screen and watch all of our channels online.
When a person cries for Imam al-Hussein, this tear that comes out of the eye is an expression of the love and the mahabba and the mawadda for Imam al-Hussein, which is in the heart. Therefore, the tear is an expression of this firmly deep-rooted love that lies in the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the emotion of love so powerful in that if it is manifested through a tear, this tear has the potential to cause revolutions that will cause earthquakes and bring the thrones of the tyrants crashing down to ash and dust.
have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajul sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in 2 ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly, or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
آقا من این سوال رو از شما دارم. یه شب، فقط یه شب به این سوال فکر کن. شما میخوای از یه بیابونی عبور کنی، بیابون صعب العبوری هم هست، 1000 جور خطر توشه. این مسیری هست که مثلا 100 نفر تا الان در راه عبور ازش جون خودشون رو از دست دادن. بلد راه های این مسیر، اونایی که شما قبولشون داری، اونایی که مطمئن اشتباه تو کارشون نیست، اونایی که مسیر رو مثل کف دستشون میشناسن، یه راهی رو برای عبور شما از اون بیابون معرفی میکنن، یه نقشه‌ای به شما میدن و میگن به شما غیر از این مسیر از هر کجا بری کارت تمومه، هلاکت رو شاخشه. با این اوصاف آیا شما به غیر از این مسیر پیشنهادی مسیر دیگه‌ای رو انتخاب میکنی یا نه؟ عاقل باشیم میگیم نه دیگه، این راهنمای ما کل این منطقه مثل کف دستشه، آدم دلسوزی هم هست، دروغگو هم که نیست، اگه مسیر بهتری هم میبود حتما به ما میگفت. حالا میایم تو زمان خودمون. ما تو یه زمانی هستیم که بهش میگن آخر از زمان، یعنی در برهه‌ای واقعا رنگارنگ و عجیب غریب که به سلامت رد شدن از بیابان آخر از زمان واقعا کار سختی. یه بیابونی که بلد راهاش مدام اخطار دادن، اخطار در پی اخطار، و چه اخطارهای شدیدی. اخطار تا اونجایی که بلد راهش که امام معصوم باشه قسم یاد کرده، فرموده والله اگه غیر از این راه برین هلاک میشین. ببین امام معصوم وقتی بفرمایند والله بدون قطعا خطری مسیر، شک نکن. چه روایاتی هم هست دربارش، آخر از زمان شبهه، آخر از زمان تاریکی، آخر از زمان غفلت، آخر از زمان هلاکت. و عجب بلد راههایی هم هستن اهل بیت، قشنگ تو روایات برامون گفتن، انگار بین ما داشتن زندگی میکردن. 1000 سال پیش فرمودن تو آخر از زمان گردی از ربا روی اموال همه مردم میشینه. 1000 سال پیش فرمودن آخر از زمان مرگ‌های ناگهانی زیاد میشه. 1000 سال پیش فرمودن در آخر از زمان مساجد زیبا و آباد و باشکوه، خبری از هدایت توش نیست. 1000 سال پیش فرمودن در آخر از زمان زنان پوشیدن در حالی که عریانن. 1000 سال پیش فرمودن مردا خودشونو شبیه زنا میکنن، زنا خودشونو شبیه مردا. 1000 سال پیش فرمودن تو آخر از زمان اگه کسی صادق باشه، آدم حسابی باشه، خار و خفیف میشه. اگه قالتاق باشه کلاه سر مردم بذاره، این میشه آدم حسابی و مورد احترام قرار میگیره. و 10 ها نمونه دیگر اینقدر قشنگ و دقیق بیان فرمودن انگاری 1000 سال پیش نشستن و دارن روزگار ما رو تماشا میکنن. نماینده خدا روی زمین دیگه، حجت خداوند داریم میگیم، زمان براش مطرح نیست. خب بلد راهی که 1000 سال پیش اینقدر دقیق مشخصات آخر از زمان ما رو بیان کرده و از طرفی هم اخطارهای شدید داده، این بلد راه اگه راهکار هم به ما بده چقدر باید بهش توجه کرد؟ راهکار چنین بلد راهی چقدر باید بهش اهمیت داد؟ اونم تو بیابون خطرناکی مثل آخر از زمان. حالا این روایت رو دقت بفرمایید، خیلی جالبه. میخوایم ببینیم شما به عنوان یه شیعه امیرالمومنین چه برداشتی از این روایت داری، چه نتیجه‌ای از این روایت میگیری. امام عسکری علیه السلام میفرمایند شیعیان ما پیوسته در غم و اندوه خواهند بود تا ظهور فرزندم مهدی. به این محکمی، به این واضحی، به این روشنی. روایات متعدد دیگه ای هم هست که مؤید این روایت، هیچ استثنایی هم نداره. شیعیان ما پیوسته در غم و اندوه خواهند بود تا ظهور فرزندم مهدی. یعنی چی؟ یعنی برادر من هر جوری بری تا به ظهور نرسی نجاتی برای ما نیست، گرفتاری ما تمومی نداره. حالا اگه ایمان داشته باشی به بلد راهت که امام معصوم باشه و یقین داشته باشی که کلامش حقه، چه نتیجه‌ای میگیری برای نجات تو این آخر از زمان؟
Iraq is home to almost 1 million orphans who have been put into poverty because of war, government corruption and social instability. These young children have no one to turn to. Their parents were taken away from them as ISIS ran riot throughout the country. Imam Hussein Development and Relief Foundation are requesting you to help make a difference to the yatim of Karbala. Karbala is home to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and these orphans wander the streets hungry.